rattle of musketry, the whiff of gunpowder, the roar of cannon. And the brave sight of British redcoats sending Yankee invaders packing, an everyday story of colonial folk, reenacted at Fort York in Toronto. The fort was built in 1793 and blown up during an American attack in 1813. It's now completely restored, and the old battles are fought all over again for visitors. The poet Rupert Brooke once took a pot shot at Toronto. The depressing thing he wrote in 1913 is that it'll always be like it is, only larger, which only goes to prove that poets can be wrong too. Toronto certainly became Canada's largest city, but as it grew big, it also grew up. Perched on the northern lip of Lake Ontario, Toronto is as high, as it's wide, as it's handsome. The windows of the Royal Bank are covered in £1 million worth of gold dust. Shoppers have a city centre of their own. The Eaton Centre is a consumer's crystal palace, housing 300 shops, 21 cinemas and 14 restaurants. Toronto is a city built around people, not on top of them. Here, the parkland notices invite you to walk on the grass. It's as modern as tomorrow, but as safe and cosy as yesteryear. Gracious old houses haven't been submerged in concrete, and old trams still clang and trundle along the streets. Even an antique tram would appear newfangled in Black Creek Pioneer Village. People in period costume, original settlers' houses and working livestock all vividly recreate Canada's pioneering days. Everyone goes about their work as though the 20th century had never happened.
Please fasten your seatbelts. We're about to take off at 20 feet per second. Thank you for flying with us today.
I'm rising faster than a jet plane at takeoff, but this isn't Toronto Airport. I'm on my way to the top of the Canadian National Tower, the city's greatest landmark and the tallest freestanding structure in the world. In Toronto, even the sky is barely the limit. The tower is 1,815 feet tall, 10 times higher than Nelson's Column, and cost £15 million. Like the Tower of Pisa, it leans just 3 inches to the east. On a clear day, you may not see forever, but you can see for 74 miles. The Indians call the province of Ontario Shining Waters. We know it as the home of the Great Lakes. And wine. Ontario's vineyards produce more than 10 million gallons each year. And the province grows enough fruit to provide £1 a head for every man, woman and child on earth. Motorhomes are as much a part of the Canadian scene as maple syrup and Mounties. A 21-foot home like this, sleeping a family of 6, can be rented for a fortnight at £264 in low season, rising to £358 in high summer. Furnished down to the last teaspoon, they offer every amenity from stoves and sinks to showers and stereo. They can be booked in the UK. Prices are based on 2 people sharing. An extra £15 is charged for each additional person. Wherever you go, you won't be far from water. There are 400,000 lakes in Ontario, some of them big enough to swallow entire European countries. The sea can be 1,200 miles away, so people turn the lakeside into the seaside. For some visitors, dropping in at hotels like the Muskoka Sands Inn is just plain sailing. The Muskoka Lakes are typical of the inland resort areas. In fact, Ontario's first big resort hotel was built here in 1870 by a New Yorker. Everyone thought he was plain nuts and regarded his £2 a day prices as outrageous. But the area boomed, and by 1903 there were 8 big steamers plying the lake. This is the last one, the Seguin, now restored to full steam and cruising once again. The old boats may have gone, but the holiday atmosphere remains. More than 200,000 people each year visit Muskoka. Day-long activities are provided in a quiet and rural setting. You can make a splash in an 80-foot heated swimming pool. Take a swing at one of the 16 tennis courts. Or try to hole out on the golf course. There's fishing for the armchair athletes, canoeing for make-believe Indians, and water skiing for those whose future is in the balance. In one of the colonial-style lodges, a week cost between £193 and £239 per person, according to season, with reductions for children under 12. Bookable in Britain, the prices are based on sharing a double standard room. Full board is included, but no flight or transfer from Toronto Airport. At Niagara-on-the-Lake, they cling to the colonial tradition as firmly as the ivy on the old courthouse wall. Lovingly preserved period shops line the town's main street. And the elegant houses were once the homes of the members of Canada's first provincial parliament. In 1795, the Parliament was asked to spend £12 to clear a path to a local beauty spot. They refused to fork out, remarking the place was only of interest to small boys. Well, the place they dismissed so offhandedly was Niagara Falls. It's a cathedral of falling water. The total width of the falls along that thunderous crest is 3,260 feet. At its highest point, the cataract plunges a sheer 176 feet. The spray is like a tropical thunderstorm. Through it, the pleasure boat Maid of the Mist heads bravely forward, its passengers kitted out like lifeboatmen. Above them, a liquid landslide, which in 2 seconds could fill the dome of St. Paul's to the brim. Not everyone has been overawed by the falls. The acrobat Blondin crossed over on a tightrope with the manager on his back. Another stuntman rode over on a motor bicycle, and a woman walked across a cable with her feet in peach baskets. There are easier ways of getting across. A cable car makes a dizzying trip above the rapids, where many of the daredevils came to grief. Rapids which roar along at more than 30 miles per hour, fed by the almost frightening power of the falls. From any angle, Niagara Falls is an overwhelming experience, and to think that once they thought it would only be of interest to little boys.